And at some point, trot walk transition. Good boy. All right, so my fingers aren't very long, but if you can hold your hand like this, not this, but this joint bends, this little joint at the end is straight. There's a name for this, but I've forgotten what it is at the moment. So, not a fist, not fingernails to your, but instead fold that joint so that the cushion of your hand is against, yeah, like that. Then whether you put the rein between here or under here is up to you. It doesn't matter. A lot of people ride the rein between these fingers. But what happens is the rein comes out over your index finger, and your thumb, my thumb's very short, but if your thumb is long enough, it lands on top of the rein, and that's actually what holds the rein. Not your fist, not your fingers. It just happens to go around here or around there, whatever's comfortable for you. But the hand closes like that, and the thumb is actually what holds the rein. Then, this is a little bit easier to have happen, and you're not as prone to doing that. You don't do that, thank goodness. But whenever riders are sort of like, and it's like, if you trip, you're going to sprain your pinky. Ow.
I tend to not, I want to be quiet.
Yep.
And that translates in my
brain to move fingers, yes. And the problem with that is then one is tended to go, how can we say, if I shake your hand, please don't give me a limp hand. Mm-hmm. Don't squeeze my fingers off either. It's not a wrestling match. But thank you. A nice positive feel so that you could stretch the contact. Sneezy. All right, walk off again. Now, base of support at walk, we're walking. Oh, he's such a thoroughbred. I'm off to the races. Base of support at walk. Put your shoulder joint over your base of support. Sitting trot actually goes behind your base of support slightly. Your base of support are your two sitter bones. We do not ride sitter bones crotch unless the saddle's too small. So your sitter bones are shaped like the bottoms of a rocking chair. So what keeps you in the same place on those sitter bones are we call them corset muscles. They're muscles that wrap around your rib cage. Not the ones we use for sit-ups. You'll have to get your six-pack someplace else. So those muscles that wrap around your rib cage allow you to not be a wobbly toy on your sitter bones that are shaped like rockers. They allow you to keep yourself in the same place. Now at the walk, this is good. With sitter bones in the saddle, I want you to lean from the hip forward, like 5 or 10 degrees, way forward, but keep your sitter bones in the saddle. And now I want you to lean behind position 2 or 3 inches, which is really scary to do, by the way. Yep. And then come back up and lean forward again, not bending at the waist, and then lean behind again. And then bring shoulder joints up to where we need them to be, which will be, in your mind, slightly behind your hips. Yep. So some people say, I can tell when I'm correct because there's a stretch on my tummy. Then I'm not sure if he'll let you do it, but put the reins in one hand, pat him with that hand, good boy. Look at me. Put that hand out, palm up. Yeah, but out, direct shoulder height, palm up. Now, bring your elbow back to your shirt. Keep your palm up, though. Now bring your hand forward into rein position. Feel the difference in your upper body there? Okay. So people say shoulders back, shoulders down. That's really not quite right. It's actually shoulders wide. And the easiest way to do that is to, I usually do it with both hands, but I don't trust them enough, is to put your palm out shoulder height, then bring your upper arm down to your shirt, and then bring your hand forward. You're like, I got it. Now elbows to your shirt, and then just bring your hand forward. And that does all of the stretching of the shoulder girdle that is so hard for women to do, hopefully without arching your back. Or swaying your back, hollowing it, I guess is a better word. Arching might be like a cat. That would be the other way. All right, put him off at trot again. Good boy, he's very good. And we know thoroughbreds are worriers. That's sort of their nature. And you're like, that's fine. That's why I own you, because you're a good boy. Think about the position of your hand. It won't feel right in the beginning to put the pads of your fingers against the butt of your hand if they're long enough. And your thumb rests on top of your rein, and that's what holds your rein. But get used to it. It works the best. This is not a fashion issue. It's a function issue. I don't believe in fashion. I'm not built for it. Change rein on the long diagonal. And there are lots of things that women get suckered into for fashion that are just not very helpful to horses. Good boy. All right, big circle here. Pretty boy. Keep your left flexion, or excuse me, right, and spiral this circle into a 10-meter circle in the middle. So it'll take you about once around to get into a slightly larger than lead rope size circle in the middle of your big circle. But just follow his nose into the smaller circle. And it should be the same tempo, which, by the way, is pretty darn good right now. So you're being a good leading dance partner here. And smaller circles are tougher. Some of them slow down, some of them speed up because of a loss of balance. Yep, a little bit smaller yet. That's a really long lead rope. That's longer than my lead ropes. I know, it's hard work. Slowly. And then from your right leg yield him out, push your right leg gently against him and let him slide out to the bigger circle. So ideally, he'll get to that big circle with shoulders and haunches at the same time without speeding up. Yep. We didn't pick the easiest way, but he gave it a good try, yes? And spiral back in again, keeping your right bend. So it should take you about once around the circle to get in, but it'll probably take you about twice around the circle to get out. And that would be about what we would expect. Good. He does have a propensity to hit closer to H, though. I've noticed this. Yes. The pebble did not get dropped into the middle of your circle. The ripples are not concentric. Turn, 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 turn. Wow. All right, put that circle in the middle of your big circle. It's not yet. So spiral it in, and you're like, this is mind over geometry. I can do this. Turning now, turning, turning, turning. So what you're discovering is to make a round circle and put it where you want to, you have to plan some sort of oblong, flat, triangular thing. And then it'll be, everyone goes, well, she makes lovely circles. You're like, I didn't plan it as a circle. Now lots of turning here because he bows there. There you go. Turn, 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 turn. Turn, turn. Now commence your leg yield out. It's like, oh, thank God. That's all I wanted to do was zip out to H. Slowly. Slowly he can zip out to H. As we say, make haste slowly. Oh, pretty boy. For one whole stride, we're so proud of him. And that's about the way it happens, yes? A stride here, a stride there. As you meet the big circle, walk transition. Now his back is a little bit tricky, but what I would like to see you do in that walk transition is to get your shoulder a little bit more over your hip. You were quite forward. You were like in rising trot angle with your hip. And we'd like to just have a body language with him. And we used a back belt last time. Is that great? Did we use a back belt last time?
Yes.
Okay. So how could you push your spine? It was hard to push your spine back when you were like hip closed forward, yes?
Yes.
Yeah. So every time you get to make a transition or transition within the gait, bigger trot to smaller trot, you're like, I have a back belt. And eventually they'll figure it out. All right, now loose rein, let him stretch for a minute. Good boy. So when we see a rider do a round circle, we think, oh, that's so easy. We try to do a round circle and we're like, oh my gosh, nobody told me it'd be this hard. Straight lines and round circles are just, I mean, a circle by definition is round. Not the way most riders ride it. So we found on this right-hand figure down here, we'd like it to be a circle. He wants it to hug into S and H, and he could probably dive in off the gate and he'd be perfectly happy. So you have to plan it very radically different in order to make it roundish. And after the first time around a figure, or even around a ring, where you find these weird locations, you're like, I have a plan now. As long as he's a rote animal, he doesn't change the plan instantly, I can make something that looks much rounder. And we just get smarter at that. It's not that I wish I had a round circle. It's like I actually go steering something else. And look, it came out round. And tempo-wise, he's pretty darn good. Change rein on your diagonal, go M to E, half diagonal. And then we'll pick up contact and go trot down the rail. So that's very good. He doesn't like young horses speed up towards the gate and slow down away from the gate. So you've done a good job there.
Did you drive through that tremendous rainstorm?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it blew me off the road.
Yeah.
I didn't have enough force in there.
You need like pull on in there. All right, invite trot when you're ready. Soft bend in your elbow. Oh, gotta get my back leg going here.
Karen, is that one of your borders?
Yeah, I'll get them to you.
Okay.
You already worked it out.
Okay, thank you.
I go right by there all the time.
Okay.
And straight ahead. A round X, circle the width of the ring. So I have the epicenter of my earthquake here, or the rock in the middle of my pond, and I'm going to make my circle, well, first I'm going to ride what I think will be a perfectly round circle. Then if I know it bulges here or it dives in there, the next time around this figure, I'll have a plan, because I'm smarter than my horse. And everyone will go, she makes beautifully round circles, and you're like, yeah, right. I planned to dive here and a bulge there, and it came out looking just fine. Good. And then he doesn't do it, but a lot of horses, when they dive in, will scurry off a bit. You've done a good job. He doesn't really do that. But you'll also notice there are certain places of the circle that you're like, 1, 2, 1, 2, come along, match me, 1, 2, 1, 2. And part of the circle, you don't have to do anything at all. He's just like, I'm fine. Good? All right, you know the center of your circle is X. Keep your left bend, spiral it in to 8 or 10 meters. It'll take one time around to get all the way into your small circle. Same tempo, 1, 2, 1, 2. And you have to try to figure out the 1, 2, regardless of the gymnastics he's doing with his head and neck. Or he drops his back, or he goes wandering. You're still saying 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Good. Yep, 1, 2, 1, 2. He's doing his gymnastics now. 1, 2, 1, 2. And that always happens. Small circles are harder work. He gets a little erratic there. And then when you're ready, commence a leg yelled out to full size. That's not his choice, that's yours. When you decide, when you sit to snug your left leg in, you should be, over you go. Yes, over we go. Out we go. Good boy. And you say, I planned it to be that subtle. Thunk. Part of that is the footing, though. The horses will often do that on this footing. It's because it's springier and they just don't calculate for that. They're used to thud footing or deader footing or something. It's like, nobody told me I had to trot on a trampoline. That's hard to do. Spiral in again. Good boy.
Yeah, Easy stumbled a couple times, and he never stumbles.
Pretty boy.
But it feels good to ride on this.
It feels great to ride. Oops,
Yeah.
your circle's getting to the wall again. Did you notice that? So you plan to cut that side and maybe bulge it a little closer towards B-boy. And then it'll come out in the middle. Nobody's knowing you do that. You just do it. And you're like, because he told me he's going to suck to E, I'm going to make E smaller. And yep, there you go. Works perfect. He thinks you're nuts. Ignore it. It's not important. It's like, you mixed up my plan. His plan was to dive to E. That's a good boy. So we want him to be quiet and steady and pleasant and all of that. On the other hand, we get to ride him. Leg yelled out to full size. So part of getting to ride him is he must go, it wasn't my plan. Crap. Okay, I have to listen to her. So he tripped. So what? Good boy. Prepare a trot walk transition. Remember your back belt? All right, pat, loose rein for a moment. Good boy. So, the cheerleading thing, or what is it? Wipe it on, wash it off, or something?
Wax on, wax off.
Sorry, obviously I don't wax. And I do clean mirrors, though. Oh, I see. And then, there's something else. That, and the back belt. Those are terribly important things because it's totally unfair. You'll get a heads up. You'll get like yards beyond where I was for years, simply because you're like, this is really hard to do to develop elastic contact. But I have the advantage of being able to figure it out on the ground and then to be able to figure it out on my horse. How does one half fall? Activate your core. Where's my core? Well, push your spine back to the back of your belt. You just activated your core. Oh. Why didn't somebody tell me that 30 years ago? That was so simple. It's probably because it was too simple, right? You don't make enough money or telling people simple stuff. All right. Then you have to remember, and this is function, not fashion, the position of your fingers so that you don't sprain your fingers if he trips, because he's going to trip. And I don't having had my rings cut off several times. I don't wear rings anymore, but just because of that, I was jumping. They'd quit and I jammed my finger. But still, when you do it